tearing Big Ted bananas and pyjamas and our ABC to shreds.
The question is the motion be agreed to, and I call the member for Goldstein.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I know. Deputy Speaker, I think what I need is a banana and pyjama to be able to get me the energy to get over these contributions of not just this member who spoke before me, but the triviality, the childishness, the tawdry nature of the motion that has been put before this Federation chamber. And when you look at a motion like this, you go, haven't the members opposite got anything better to do with their time than the virtue signalling to those people who want to engage in a confected fight and war to defend the ABC from the irritable tyranny of those people who have criticisms of it? I've got to tell you, Deputy Speaker, I actually like the ABC. You know, there's products and content that I don't mind. There's programs I sometimes go, I welcome that contribution to national public life that might be informative and educative, and actually is quite good. But it doesn't mean that I think the ABC is without criticism. I mean, when it comes down to it, the ABC shouldn't be treated as some sacred cow that deserves protection above and beyond all other government agencies, untouchable by government, where they might actually, as part of the triennium of funding, have occasionally efficiency dividends or obligations. I mean, they do it to themselves. They actually find ways to make efficiency dividends so they can provide new services and new opportunities to provide content. Just like I think there's an entirely legitimate case to criticise the ABC about its Sydney-centricity. Now, I know that won't bother many of the members opposite who like to represent the inner Western Sydney perspective of the world, but some of us come from other parts of Australia. Some of us come from other parts of the community representing different values, different attitudes, and critically, different Australian stories. And that's where the ABC could do so much to help itself, Deputy Speaker, to actually give voice to the lived Australian experience, to give voice to the voiceless, to those whose stories have not yet been written or told. The ABC could do so much to advance the cause of this Australia Fair if they made sure they gave every Australian the opportunity and the platform. And let's just look at the Sydney-centricity of the ABC, where so much of its resources, its staff and its talent pool is poured into Ultimo to create a myopic and limited worldview of this nation. Frankly, Deputy Speaker, what we need in the ABC Charter is more diversity. And yes, people always go, oh, diversity of opinion and political bias and all those sorts of things. I'm talking about geographic diversity, and not just rural and regional Australia, though that is very and critically important. But the ABC Charter should actually recognise that there are other capital cities apart from Sydney, that Melbourne's a capital city too, and so is Brisbane, so is Adelaide, so is Hobart, and so is Perth. I know you mock it on the other side, but some of us care about places beyond the Emerald City. And to give the stories of those parts of the country voice too. Let's face it, when it comes down to if I had a choice between which program is more biased or more myopic in its ABC worldview between Q&A versus Insiders, I'm going to make Barry Cassidy's day. I reckon that Insiders is more reflective of diversity of views than the programs that are held on Monday night in Sydney in Ultimo. And what that says, Deputy Speaker, is the more the ABC gets out, the better. The more the ABC turns around to this great nation and says, we want to represent everybody as part of the story of this nation. And this is where I do give proper credit to programs like Backroads, to lots of other comedic programs which are made outside of Sydney, to those that try and tell the stories of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders, the stories that don't get the voice and the national attention and don't get on commercial broadcasters. The more we see of that, the more confidence the ABC will hold, the more confidence it will have within the Australian community. And frankly, Deputy Speaker, people have been doing a better job of this than the ABC has actually been SBS. Yes, they've created programs which tell the stories of the lived experience of Australians, but they've actually shone bright lights into dark places. I know you can mock it, but the reality is programs that focus on things like homelessness, that focus on the challenges faced by refugees is critically important to educate, to inform and to grow the opportunity and experience of Australians. And I'd like to see more of that from the ABC, not less.